all down into one word. That word would be community. It would be the recognition of our deep interconnectedness.
So again, welcome very much to the Learning for Life Voices 365 webinar hosted by the Global Summit. This is the fourth webinar in a series leading up to the Impact Games in August. So for more information about the Impact Games and how to get involved, please check out the Global Summit Facebook page or the Global Summit website. So, a little bit about the outline for our webinar. I will start with some introductions and ask the panelists to also introduce themselves. And then I will go through some questions for the panelists. And if we have time, we will do some Q&A, some question and answer. So my name is Sonia Richards, and I am based in Tokyo. And I'm here with Carlos Hernandez as technical support. Thank you, Carlos. And I'm also here with 4 panelists who I will have introduce themselves in just a moment. So thank you very much to the Global Summit for having me as a guest moderator. And as you know, the topic for tonight's webinar is learning for life. So as I was preparing for tonight, I was trying to think of a good story to start us off and set the stage a little bit. And I was trained as a learning scientist. So I was taught to really look at the science behind how people learn. And as part of my training and my learning, we spent a lot of time having these class-wide debates, vouching for approach A to learning versus approach B, and which one's better and why this one was better than the other approach. And we spent so much time having these arguments. And I remember thinking, this is so silly, because really, shouldn't we just be trying to build like the best toolkit possible with the best tools from both approaches, from all of the approaches, and to really use, again, all of the tools available to help people learn something? And the other thing that I was thinking about is, beyond using the best approach to teach something, how do we know that that something is really the thing that's worth learning? So just some thoughts to get us started this evening. And without further ado, I would like the panelists to introduce themselves, and I'll start with Tomoko Yoshida. Tomoko is a senior instructor of Tenshin Taido here in Japan. So Tomoko, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and Tenshin Taido for those who are unfamiliar.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. It's a pleasure to be here. Hi, everyone. And to introduce myself again, my name is Tomoko Mochizuki Yoshida, and I'm joining from Japan right now. And what I do is I'm a senior instructor of Canbu Tenshin and Tenshin Taido, as Sonia just introduced me. And Canbu and Tenshin Taido, it's a combination of the practice that I teach. And Canbu is based on the art of the sword, and I actually have my sword here. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it means. So this is the sword that we usually use. It's imitation sword. It's not real sword. So it's a practice of the sword combined with a system of body movement called Tenshin Taido. And it was developed by Master Hiroyuki Aoki in the 60s. And Master Hiroyuki Aoki he was a very high-ranked karate practitioner and instructor, master actually. And he wanted to develop a kind of martial arts that would better benefit the people in this modern age. So what's interesting about Canbu and Tenshin Taido is that it's based in martial arts, but the combat and the fighting aspect of martial arts has all been removed. And it's more to build a good communication, to connect with one another, connect with ourselves, and connect with our fellow practitioners that we practice together and then also to connect with nature and the universe, the greater life force that we all come from and go back to. So that's the overall, the basic concept of Canbu and Tenshin Taido. And at the time that Master Aoki created this, it was already, after wartime in Japan. So there's no point of fighting with each other anymore. So there's great emphasis on how we could soften our hearts to have compassion and feel each other, not just physically, but energetically, and to create something together from there. So that's the underlying philosophy in our practice. And the forms are applied to learn from the forms. For example, we try to, become one with the sword too. So become one with the sword, become one with ourselves, and becoming one with our practitioners and everything around us.
Thank you so much, Tomoko-san. And now turning to our next panelist, we also have Bhutana Aburoza. Bhutana, could you tell us a little bit about your organization, Kutov, which does green vocational training? And Bhutana is joining us from Amman, Jordan.
Hello, everybody. I'm talking from Jordan. I'm Bhutana Aburoza. I'm the founder of Qutuf Professional Development. We are specialized in vocational training in environment in general and in waste management and recycling in specific. And we are the leader of change in our community for the behavior by our program, Environmental Behavior Leaders. We are going to talk about more. This is a small brief about me. I am a change maker, an entrepreneur who are working with the community to do the best for our community in the environment sector.
Great, thank you very much, Bhutana. And also from Jordan, we have Jana Abdul. She is a game developer and the co-founder of Sakuda Games, where she creates edutainment games. So Jana, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jana Abdul. I'm 14 years old from Jordan. I'm a Unity game developer and co-founder of Sakuda Games, where we develop edutainment games to make education more interactive and enjoyable. And I previously worked in many things. I started when I was 9, so I worked in dubbing, content making, and many other things. And I settled in game development right now.
Great, thank you very much, Jana. And now finally joining us from London, we have Ross Hall, the co-founder of the Weaving Lab, which is a global community aiming to advance the practice and profession of weaving learning ecosystems.
Thanks, Sonia, and hello, everyone. It's lovely to be with you today. My name is Ross Hall. I'm calling from London, and the focus of our work is to essentially help every school, every neighborhood, every network become a community within which everyone is learning to thrive together. So this is about liberating learning from just being schools. It's liberating learning from just being about the acquisition of knowledge and skills to something much deeper, much more profound, and much more urgently required.
Great, thank you very much, Ross. And now we will just dive right into our questions. And my first question is for Jana. And Jana, you develop educational games as learning tools, and you started this work with the goal of making learning more fun, but also more useful. And when we spoke, you said learning is the most important weapon. And you mentioned that you see a real problem with the way schools currently prepare young people for the future. So could you tell us more about this, please?
So I think it's the most important weapon because learning is a major part of our lives. That's essential to human existence. The brain gets power from information. People who continually learn earn more money than those who rely on a narrow set of skills and experiences. The more skills you have, the higher is your chance of survival and success. Learning more can help you to see things from different perspectives, which results in a better understanding of the world. That's why if you stop, you'll be left behind. And you should ensure you remain relevant to your industry by keeping up to date with trends and adapting your skill sets to function effectively among this rapidly changing world of technology. You have to learn new things to remain valuable. And about the way schools currently prepare young people for the future, the problem I noticed is that school doesn't teach you any practical skills. So when you graduate and actually go to the real world, you barely know anything about handling money, social skills, looking for a job, first aid, time management, laws, insurance, credit cards, and much more. So in the end, your knowledge of math and science alone won't get you a job. Also, for 12 years of your life, you have to take certain subjects, even if you won't use them in your future job. So, for example, if becoming a programmer is what you want as a job, you won't need knowledge in history. Instead, you should be taught about logical thinking and algorithms. Even things as simple as conversation skills and email writing aren't taught in schools. When I started out as a journalist, I had no idea how to start a conversation or write a formal email. I'm not saying that math, science, or history shouldn't be taught in school, but the idea is that we shouldn't be studying the same subject for 12 years. If we make it so that in the first 5 years you learn all subjects, then you get to choose based on what you've learned, what you want to work as, and based on that, your subjects should get reconstructed. I also believe that the reason a lot of people have social anxiety is because we aren't taught about social skills, how to interact with people in school.
Ross, moving to you, can you tell us a bit about how you see learning moving away from the current economic and individualistic focus, and a bit about what you already used the term liberating learning. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah, thanks, Sonia. It's really interesting hearing you talk, Jana. You talk very eloquently about, for example, helping people find jobs, and that's clearly a really important thing for people to do. Um, but you also talk about building that kind of relational skills, the ability to live and work with other people and to relate to other people. And I think those two pieces, in many ways, capture, for me at least, many of the ideas around liberating learning. Firstly, it's really interesting when you look at the purpose of schools everywhere. The practical purpose of schools is for many, many people just to get them into jobs. It's to kind of get them out the system, as Ken Robinson said, through the factory and out into higher education and maybe into jobs. And while jobs are clearly really important, I think equally important is the idea of economic well-being. So not just any jobs, but jobs which are actually contributing to our collective well-being, I think. Plus, of course, a lot of jobs that currently exist will not exist when young people in school today graduate. So there's this idea of needing to invent work and to invent meaningful, purposeful, thriving work. So that's part of it. I think this sense that we need to get away from just serving the old economic system, which we know has created so many problems in the world, environmental, social, and personal problems. We need to essentially reinvent our economic systems so that we are thriving together. And I'll come back to that a bit later, I think. So we need, in my opinion, learning which is focused on thriving, which includes economic thriving, but is not limited to just finding work. So the other piece that you said, Jana, was, this idea of developing relational skills, being positive with people. Again, we know this is essential to economic well-being, but it's also essential to social well-being and to personal well-being. So we need to now start to say, well, if we need to essentially therefore liberate learning from just this highly individualistic and economic purpose, which is found in most schools, to essentially being about the development of the whole human being thriving. And that means developing a whole set of qualities in people which help them to thrive. This is about developing knowledge, it's about developing skills, but it's equally about developing our ability and our inclination to collaborate, to cooperate. So we need to develop empathy and compassion, which requires self-awareness and self-regulation. It requires creativity and imagination, future thinking, reflectivity, thoughtfulness, wisdom, and on and on. So there's this whole set of human qualities that we know are essential to our collective thriving that we're not focusing on in schools. And I think this is what I mean essentially by liberating learning, so that we have a much broader focus on the whole human being and a much broader focus on the whole community in and around the school, empowering the whole human being to live for the whole world.